Okay, the next skill is one that is the hardest. This is where we have a problem with each other. And we euphemistically call it an assertive interaction. It's a fight. It's an argument. It's it can get tense.
It's where the two of you have a differences of opinion, and it's not something that can be solved quickly.
So it is the most difficult, and what we need to do is be ever mindful that it's our relationship that's the most important thing, not the issue that we're disagreeing about. Interesting enough, the research said in the 1970s it used to be that conflict was like a disease and should be avoided in any case. And so we didn't have our first real argument until we've been married 13 years. The dynamic was this.
Charlie would get angry, and my reaction would be, you can either, when someone gets angry and you're feeling under pressure, you either flight or fight, and my reaction would be flight.
So, I mean, we had an argument, but it was never resolved. I mean, Marty would run away, and I'd sit there, fume, and then go have a beer and whatever. But then we went on this marriage encounter weekend, learned how to express feelings, and had our first real fight.
Confrontation.
It's so vivid in my brain.
Confrontation. We were walking on the beach, and we were working on a...
St. Simon's Island, walking down the beach.
And we were walking down the beach, and we were discussing a presentation that we were about to give, and I had the script in my hand.
Kind of like this. We had the script.
And Charlie made a rather critical...
Very critical
comment about something that I had done.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay. And I ripped up the script.
She took the thing, and literally right there, and this is before word processing, and she went...
and threw it in the ocean.
Threw it in the ocean. So all these little pieces of paper going in and out, all that work, it's, oh my God, and we had made a copy of it.
Right. So anyway, it caught his attention, and then we decided to have a real discussion about the issues, and for the first time, I didn't flee. I was able to stand my ground, and we could talk about feelings. We had more communication skills in our skill packet, and we were able to work it out. And that flashpoint, or that memory, says that's the beginning of when we really began our true communication.
And our marriage just got so much better when, Marty would give it to me. When I deserved it, so it all comes down to compromise. In over 50 years, we agree on one wonderful thing: our faith. I'm a convert too, and going to church and so forth. But every other issue that you could disagree on in a marriage, we have. We're on a continuum. But so, for example, when it comes to money.
Money. Save more.
Spend some more. We're going to die.
It's true. Sex. Less.
Lots more.
Exercise. Rarely.
Although you're getting good at that now.
I'm trying.
But fanatically.
Yes. Spanking. Never.
Occasionally. I have a great story about spanking our son, who's on the autism spectrum, who's a really cool kid. He was about, 8 years old, and I spanked him, and he looked up at me with no tears in his eye and just said, "Dad, I know you have to do that. Mom said it makes you feel better." Shut up, kid. My spanking stopped a bit there after that. Travel.
A reasonable amount.
No. Around the world, let's get going.
And the way the house looks. Very clean.
Not so clean. Okay. So there are a number of ways we can make compromises.
Okay. Let's cut the pie, and you make the first cut, and I'll take the first piece.
Okay, here's another one. My way when I do it, your way when you do it.
Okay. Let's take turns.
Or how about part of what I want and part of what you want?
Okay. Let's split the difference.
How about let's just try it for a trial period and see if it works.
Okay. Tit for tat. If you do this, then I'll do that.
Okay, but let's maybe we can just do it both ways. You do it your way, I do it my way, and we'll kind of merge together.
Okay.
So when we have an argument, we conduct an assertive interaction. And we're going to take you through one. and then, try to get to a template for doing this, we think it's a little sensitive to do it at a table with everyone else around, because this is an area where we have a disagreement with each other. We haven't rehearsed this. I don't know what Marty's got, but I will accept feedback so we can get out of here.
Okay, the first thing you always do is say, "Hon, are you open for some feedback?" And Charlie says,
Well, the first thing we do is we find a place, too, where we
"Oh,
can...
yeah. Yeah, when you're going to have an assertive confrontation or an assertive interaction, you always want to be in a spot where there's no distractions. And in today's world, as you know, distractions are multiplied.
It's sitting in your pocket right now.
Yes, your
Somewhere.
texts and headphones and movie screens and just, I could go on. I don't need to tell you because you are in the wired world. We did not grow up that way, so we only had to turn off the Victrola. Most of you don't know what that is, but anyway. Anyway, see if you can clear the decks. And when you have children, should God bless you with children, we suggest that this happens not when they're around or when they're, when they're a distraction. Okay. So you ask if you can get feedback. So Charlie, can I give you some feedback?
No, let's go. No, okay, yeah. Yes, you can.
Okay. Or I could say, is this a good time for me to give you some feedback? In other words, set the time. So that gives Charlie the total control of the situation. If he says no, we're done. It's not going to happen right now. Okay.
Yeah.
But he knows that it's out there. So we're going to have to deal with it at some time, but it doesn't have to be right now. So that gives him the control. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hun, the first thing I do is I state the problem, okay? State the problem. Hun, you like to talk to me when I'm not in the same room. And I'm usually doing something else. And sometimes I can barely hear you. Okay? The second part of a sort of interaction is you state how you feel about the problem. How does this situation make you feel? Hun, when that happens, I feel frustrated and I feel uncertain, not unconcerned, uncertain. Okay? The third part of an assertive interaction is you describe your thoughts and judgments about the problem. My thought is that you really want to share something with me, but you don't want to come to where I am to share it. I judge that I need to stop my activities and either yell louder or go where you are to be able to hear you. Okay?
Two retired people wandering around the house screaming at each other.
Okay. Step number 4, describe what you need. Okay, you've stated the problem, you've said how you felt, you've talked about your judgments and your assumptions. Now you describe what you need. Hun, I need for us to be in the same room when we talk to each other, unless it's a quick yes or no, like, do you have the car keys? Yes or no. But if we're going to have a conversation, I really need for us to be in the same room.
So what do you want me to do then? To come to your, if it is not a yes or no, come to where you're at? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, I think that if it's something that's really important that needs to get shared and we're not in the same room, I think that we have to have a range, you either say to me, can you come here, or you get up and come to me, because I'm,
But are most of the things that I'm screaming about important?
That is a good question. I don't know if they're important because I sometimes can't hear them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the context is.
Yeah.
And
So the thing is, you're upstairs, I'm downstairs, right, sometimes? Or-
I'm in laundry, I'm in the kitchen, I'm, cooking, doing laundry, etc. And this voice from side says, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm going, it's a communication.
So you want me to come where you're at?
Well,
or closer? How about if I come a room closer and scream?
No, I think we need to be, if it's really a conversation that we need to be having, I think we should be face to face.
Okay.
Because if it's something you really want to, or if it's, Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, but like when I can't hear you, I just yell out, "I can't hear you," and then you kind of come closer.
Yeah.
Does that work? That doesn't work either?
Well, if I really need to communicate with you, I will then get up out of whatever I'm doing and move towards you.
I'm not trying to dodge this issue, but I think we need to give it more time later because, we've got time constraints here.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's an issue that we are working on right now. But do you see how I set it up ahead of time so that I didn't just blast out with him as, why the heck don't you come and see me? I logically gave him some steps, and then he could work along with my thought process.
So when we get in an intense conflict, fortunately this hasn't happened to Marty and me in, I don't know, many, many years. But what can happen is what's called flooding. And men tend to flood quicker than women. And so when our heartbeat gets up around 100 beats a minute, we have this sense of not having control. And hopefully that's never happened to you, but sometimes it can. And so the best thing to do is just to take a time out. Go away, separate, calm down, and then, excuse me, and then come back, because we just can't really...
We can't speak with our brains working on a logical, rational way if in fact we're flooded because our blood pressure is too high and we can't control our body, our internal body emotions.
So hopefully you don't get to that point, but sometimes obviously at work or you might. And so when you're flooding, separate and then come back when you can talk about it. For this virtue, we're saying, Lord, give me the courage to ask my future spouse if I can give feedback. And when asked to hear feedback, may I have the courage to listen with an open heart.